Japan is a land of breathtaking beauty and profound historical transformation. Its ancient origins, remarkable resilience, and global influence make it one of the most fascinating nations in the world. This story, tracing the roots of Japan from its mythical beginnings to its present-day prominence, weaves a tale of innovation, struggle, and triumph. The history of Japan begins not with dates and battles but with myths. According to Japan's oldest text, the Kojiki, records of ancient matters, the land was created by the gods. It is said that the sun goddess Amaterasu sent her grandson, Ninigi, to rule over the Japanese islands. From this divine ancestry, Japan's emperors claim descent, making them the longest ruling monarchy in history. But while these myths laid the foundation for Japan's cultural identity, history, as we know it today, begins to take shape much later. Archaeological evidence suggests that the earliest human settlers arrived in Japan around 30,000 years ago, migrating from the Asian mainland. The earliest known culture in Japan is the Jomon period, 14,000 to 300 BCE, named after the distinctive pottery found from that time. During this period, Japan was populated by hunter-gatherers who lived in small, egalitarian communities. The Jomon people had an animistic worldview and were skilled in creating intricate pottery, as well as weaving and making textiles. The Yayoi period, 300 BCE, 300 CE, saw a major shift in Japanese society with the introduction of wet rice farming, likely from the Asian mainland. This new agricultural revolution not only changed the way people lived but also led to the development of social stratification and more complex political structures. During this time, Japan's first significant cities began to emerge, and the cultural foundations that would shape the country's future were laid. By the 3rd century BCE, the Japanese archipelago was home to various tribes, but one, the Yamato clan, began to emerge as a dominant force. The Yamato state unified much of Japan, establishing the imperial line that would last for millennia. The first Japanese emperor, Emperor Jimmu, is said to have ascended the throne in 660 BCE, marking the start of Japan's imperial tradition, though much of early imperial history is shrouded in legend. During the 6th and 7th centuries, Japan began to adopt many aspects of Chinese culture, including the Chinese writing system, Buddhism, and Confucianism. This was a time of rapid cultural and political development, culminating in the Taika reforms of 645 BCE, which aimed to centralize power and strengthen the emperor's authority. By the 8th century, Japan had fully embraced Chinese culture, yet it began to develop its own unique identity. The Heian period, 794 to 1185, is often considered Japan's golden age, particularly in terms of literature and art. During this time, the capital was moved to Heian-kyo, modern-day Kyoto, where a flourishing of culture took place. The tale of Genji, written by the noblewoman Murasaki Shikibu, is one of the most famous works from this period, and is often regarded as the world's first novel. The Heian period was marked by the rise of the powerful Fujiwara clan, who exercised control over the imperial court through strategic marriages. However, despite this aristocratic dominance, military power was slowly consolidating in the hands of regional clans, setting the stage for the rise of samurai. The 12th century marked the beginning of Japan's feudal era, which would last for centuries. The powerful samurai warrior class emerged as the dominant force in Japanese society. After a series of conflicts known as the Genpei War, 1180 to 1185, the Minamoto clan triumphed over their rivals, the Taira clan, leading to the establishment of the Kamakura shogunate in 1192. The shogunate system placed the military government, the shogunate, in power, while the emperor's role became more ceremonial. The Kamakura period, 1185 to 1333, was marked by the consolidation of samurai power, the rise of the warrior code of Bushido, and a focus on military discipline, loyalty, and honor. This era also saw the Mongol invasions of Japan in 1274 and 1281. Despite the formidable Mongol forces, Japan successfully repelled the invaders, thanks in part to powerful typhoons that destroyed the Mongol fleets, which the Japanese later termed the kamikaze, or divine winds. The 15th and 16th centuries were a time of near-constant warfare known as the Sengoku period, 1467 to 1603, or Warring States period. It was an era of military chaos, where powerful feudal lords, daimyos, fought for control of Japan. The conflict created a fractured, war-torn society, but it also set the stage for one of Japan's most significant figures, Oda Nobunaga. Nobunaga was a ruthless and innovative military leader who sought to unify Japan. His success laid the groundwork for two other powerful figures, Toyotomi Hideyoshi and Tokugawa Ieyasu, to complete the process of unification. In 1600, Tokugawa Ieyasu decisively defeated his rivals at the Battle of Sekigahara and established the Tokugawa shogunate. This ushered in the Edo period, 1603 to 1868, a time of relative peace, stability, and isolation from the rest of the world. The Tokugawa shogunate ruled Japan for over 250 years, bringing an end to the chaos of the Sengoku period. The period is often seen as a time of strict social order, economic growth, and cultural flourishing. The shogunate instituted a policy of sakoku, or isolationism, severely limiting foreign contact and trade. While this helped maintain social stability, it also meant that Japan remained largely closed off from the developments happening in Europe and Asia. During the Edo period, Japan's cities grew rapidly, particularly Edo, modern-day Tokyo, which became one of the largest cities in the world. Japanese culture during this time saw the development of unique art forms, such as ukiyo-e woodblock prints, and the popularization of kabuki theater. However, the isolationist policies also created problems. By the mid-19th century, Japan was economically and technologically behind the Western powers. When U.S. Commodore Matthew Perry arrived in Japan in 1853 and forced the country to open its ports, Japan was faced with the choice of modernizing or being colonized. The Meiji Restoration of 1868 was one of the most transformative events in Japanese history. The Tokugawa shogunate was overthrown, and Emperor Meiji was restored to power. This marked the beginning of Japan's rapid modernization, as the country sought to catch up with the industrialized West. Japan adopted Western technology, industrialized its economy, and reformed its military. The samurai class was abolished, and Japan's feudal system was replaced with a centralized government. This period also saw the rise of nationalism and a desire to build a strong, modern empire. By the early 20th century, Japan had emerged as a regional power. It defeated China in the First Sino-Japanese War, 1894 to 1895, and Russia in the Russo-Japanese War, 1904 to 1905, establishing itself as the first Asian power to defeat a European nation in modern history. Japan's ambitions grew during the early 20th century, culminating in its involvement in World War II. The attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 brought the United States into the war, and Japan's aggressive expansion throughout Asia led to devastating consequences. After the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, Japan surrendered unconditionally, marking the end of the war. The post-war period saw Japan under U.S. occupation, during which significant reforms were implemented, including the drafting of a new constitution that renounced war and guaranteed civil rights. Japan's economy, initially devastated by the war, began a remarkable recovery in the 1950s and 1960s, transforming the country into an economic powerhouse. Today, Japan is one of the world's leading economies, known for its cutting-edge technology, innovative industries, and rich cultural heritage. From the bustling streets of Tokyo to the serene temples of Kyoto, Japan embodies a unique blend of ancient tradition and modern progress. Despite facing challenges like an aging population and a complex relationship with its neighbors, Japan remains a dominant force in international trade, technology, and culture. Its role in global diplomacy, economics, and innovation continues to shape the world. From its divine origins to its role on the world stage today, Japan's history is a testament to the resilience, adaptability, and creativity of its people. Over thousands of years, Japan has navigated countless challenges, from internal strife to foreign invasions, and emerged stronger each time. The country's ability to blend ancient traditions with modern advancements is a hallmark of its success, and its future, like its past, holds the promise of continued evolution and achievement.